What up? How's it going? Welcome in to From Beyond The Paign podcast. We're live on my YouTube channel. We're live on Twitter. And for the first time, we're live on Instagram. Apparently, you can do StreamYard and Instagram Live now. Credit to StreamYard. Credit to me for giving them credit. Anyway, y'all aren't here because of that. Y'all are here because Illinois falls 83-78 to Purdue. Illinois' first conference loss of the season. They're now 2-1 in conference. Purdue, the number one team in the country. Illinois now, I believe, three. I forgot the record. I don't want to say it and be wrong. I want to say it's 3-20, but 3-20 all time against number one teams. I could be completely wrong about that. I might have to look that up again and get back to y'all on that. But nonetheless, Illinois lose at Purdue 83-78. Tough loss considering I felt like the game was over at halftime, and then they made a huge second half comeback like they did last year and got within one possession, only to lose by 5 after Braden Smith hit 2 clutch free throws to put the game out of reach. It's a tough one in terms of just how it played out. I think I was pretty content going into the game that if they lost by single digits, I would be fine. And then I guess in some way I didn't want them to make some comeback in the second half because then I knew I would pull or reel myself back in. I don't think I really fully reeled myself back in, but they did get me excited. The way Purdue played the last 3 minutes of the game was not great. If I'm a Purdue fan right now, well, let's just start with immediate reactions, right? It was a tale of two halves. Illinois played terrible in the first half. They were down 47-32 at halftime. Illinois won 46-36 in the second half. If you're a Purdue fan right now, I mean, you won. You're the number one team in the country. A win is a win. It's a tough conference game. You were up 20-plus points in the second half. I want to say you were up at least 21 or 22 points at one point in the second half, and you let Illinois come all the way back, and you win by 5. You're 10.5-point favorites. Illinois did cover. Good teams win. Great teams cover. But if I'm a Purdue fan right now, I'm probably really, in some aspects, kind of frustrated. But at the same time, a win is a win. They've had tough games. They played a tough conference schedule, in my opinion. They've kind of been battle tested early on here in the season. They obviously look like one of the best teams in the country, in my opinion. But if I'm a Purdue fan right now, I'm probably a little annoyed with the fact that, with how they dominated in the first half. And hell, even the first 10 minutes of the second half, I wouldn't say they dominated like they did it in the first half, but they played well enough to, have a double-digit lead at the 10-minute mark. And then things kind of changed a little bit in the second half, or in the final 10 minutes. I mean, they turned the ball over a little bit. They missed some free throws that kind of, kept Illinois there. Purdue finished with 12 turnovers. They were 20 of 25 from the free throw line. There were just a few moments where it felt like they could have put the game away, and they just didn't. The final minute, that foul would get in the air, gets hurt. Turns out to be a flagrant. He gets to shoot 2 technical free throws, and Illinois gets the ball. And what happens? Coleman Hawkins gets it and then travels. Kind of the story of the night. It felt like there were multiple chances for Illinois to take advantage of Purdue, and they just didn't do it. And when I think about this game, when I come back and think about this game later in the year, say Illinois, finishes second in the Big Ten. Say they play up close with Purdue all the rest of the conference season, and they don't win the Big Ten, and it comes down to just their matchups with Purdue. I'll think about the final 8 minutes of this game in the first half. Illinois was terrible first 10 minutes of the game. I think they scored like 4 points the first 7 minutes of the game. They were down double digits early. Uh, Final 10 minutes of the first half, they kinda the least or not the final 10 minutes, not the full final 10 minutes, but the beginning or right around the 11-10 minute mark of the first half, Illinois starts to make a run. They I don't know, they finally start hitting some shots. Uh, they rebound a little bit better, blah, blah, blah. Find themselves within single digits, got it down to as low as 6, and then Purdue ends the first half and final few minutes on a run to go up 16 at halftime, or 15 at halftime. I'm sorry. And the first half was very, very frustrating in general because Illinois couldn't rebound. Illinois could not rebound. Illinois is one of the best rebounding teams in the country. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the country. And tonight they did not look like one. They lose the rebounding game 43-28. They allowed 18 offensive rebounds to Purdue. And when I think about this game, I'm gonna think about those final 8 minutes of the first half. And I kind of insinuated that earlier. And the big reason why is Zach Edey got his second foul with about 8 minutes to go in the first half. He has to come out of the game, and Illinois did not take advantage of him being on the bench. They did not take advantage. They absolutely could have had a single digit deficit. Hell, maybe even cut it to one possession. Heck, with 8 minutes of Zach Edey not on the floor, perhaps might have been able to take the lead if they kept playing the way they did in the comeback that they made in the first half. But instead, Purdue hit a couple transition threes. Illinois made a couple bad turnovers, missed some shots, you know, allowed even more offensive rebounds with Zach Edey not even on the floor. They just did not play a good first half. It was a tale of two halves. They didn't. They had some good moments in the first half, but they didn't play well enough for the full 20 to even say that it was a respectable first half. You're down 15 at halftime. You had a bad half, right? Just to put it simple, you had a bad half. You outscore them by 10 in the second half, which is saying something considering I thought the first 10 minutes they still were struggling rebounding. They allowed more offensive rebounds. I will say that their offense played better the entire second half. You put up 46 points. I would say that your offense played better in the second half. Um, they just could not rebound. There were so many times it felt like Illinois would score, go down, get stopped, but they couldn't rebound the ball. That allowed Purdue to get extra possessions. That allowed Purdue to get easy layups on putbacks, stuff like that. It was the story of the game. It was the story of the game, the fact that Illinois could not rebound. At least that's how I look at it. It's the lack of rebounding and the inability to take advantage of opportunities. And what I mean by that, again, those final 8 minutes of the first half where Zach Edey was on the bench and he just didn't like Illinois just did not do anything with that. So uh overall, I will say that I'm not nearly as disappointed as I was at halftime. It was a valiant comeback, like moral victory, I guess you could say. Again, Purdue, the number one team in the country. The last time Illinois beat a team that's ranked number one was Indiana in 2013. So it'd been 10 years. It was going to be tough to go to Mackey Arena and win tonight. I can be realistic. Like, it is one of the toughest places to play in college basketball. And yeah, so I will say when you put all that out there together, those facts, sure, I can take it as a moral victory, but at the end of the day, it's still a loss. And now Purdue and Illinois are tied in the loss column, at least in the Big Ten. So and Illinois' schedule doesn't get any easier. I said over the 5-game stretch that started back when FDU came to before FDU came to Paign, I wanted Illinois to go 4-1 over the stretch. They are now 2-1. They beat FDU, they beat Northwestern, and they lost to Purdue. They got Michigan State and Maryland coming up. Michigan State's been playing a lot better of late. Maryland seems like a mid to bottom tier team in the Big Ten at this point to me. But Maryland, for some reason, always plays Illinois pretty tough. So I think these next two games will be tough. We can get into that in a little bit. here towards the end of the show. But that's kind of just my overall reaction to this game. It was a roller coaster. Honestly, it wasn't even really fun to watch because it just felt like Illinois should have been close in this game the entire way. It should have been a close game the entire way. And I say that because outside of the rebounding stats, it's not like Purdue demolished Illinois in anything else. It was strictly the rebounding game. You look at the team stats, Illinois shot 40%, Purdue shot 45. So they shot 3% better. All right. Illinois Illinois shot 8 for 19 from 3. Purdue shot 9 of 19. 47% compared to 42%. Illinois 18 for 21 from the free throw line. Purdue 20 of 25. So Illinois actually did better than Purdue at the free throw line. Assists, Illinois had 15, Purdue had 18. Steals, both teams had 5. Illinois had 3 blocks, Purdue had 4. Purdue had 12 turnovers, Illinois had 11. Purdue only had 5 fast break points, Illinois had 0. It feels like they had way more than 5 based off the threes they got in transition. You want to count those as fast break points? I don't blame you. So I would say the fact that they couldn't rebound and they hit some transition, what felt like transition threes, definitely played a factor into this game. Points in the paint. Both teams had 34. 19 fouls for Illinois, 17 for Purdue. So I can't even blame the refs. And I thought the refs called a good game. There were a few calls that I didn't like. There was a foul on Coleman Hawkins on a shot I think that Braden Smith put up in a crucial moment. They gave him a foul call. I think it was Braden Smith. It was either him or Fletcher Lawyer. I can't remember. But I thought that was a bad call. There was another call, a missed call out of bounds. I think the ball was off of Braden Smith when he was making a drive and layup, and it went out of bounds, and they ended up giving it to Purdue, even though the ball was off. Uh, per, yeah, it was. They ended up giving it to Purdue, even though it was off them. So there was some, it wasn't a bad ref game in my opinion. I'm sure other people might think differently because we all view the refs differently, but I didn't think it was the worst. The worst. Illinois never led. And I just looked in the stat sheet. Purdue's largest lead was 21. So they were down 21 in the second half. As in Illinois was down 21 in the second half, came all the way back to get it to 3, only to fall by 5. So anyway, I just read all these stats off, and the only thing I didn't read off the rebounds because I already said it twice. The rebounding game was the biggest difference. Purdue 43, Illinois 28. All right. 18 offensive rebounds for Purdue, 12 for Illinois, which is good. But you can't allow 18 offensive rebounds on the road, man. If you're trying to go on the road and not only upset the number 1 team in the country, but if you go on the road and you give up 18 offensive rebounds, it really, to me, doesn't matter who you're gonna face. You're probably gonna lose, brother. You're probably gonna lose if you give up 18 offensive rebounds. You wanna flip it, the fact you lost by 5 even though you gave up 18 offensive rebounds is honestly kind of incredible. But when I read you all these other stats and how pretty much it was pretty close between Illinois and Purdue, kind of explains it. Anyway, Trevor Davis in the chat, Domask is the real deal. Probably only dropped to 10 or 11 in the AP poll. And I'll use this as a transition. Marcus Domask, as I said in the last show, is him, as the kids say. Marcus Domask is the reason they made that comeback. I thought he had a huge play, a huge part in the success that Illinois did have tonight. 26 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. He was 9 of 10 from the free throw line. Only 1 of 2 from 3. His last 2 games, he hasn't really shot the 3, but he has He's just been so efficient on the floor. 8 of 17 from the field. He's he had some moments. He was able to get in the post. He was able to do what he did against Northwestern in the second half well, way more than he did in the first half. I don't know what Illinois did, as in what Brad Underwood did to get him into those opportunities, but definitely in those final 6, 7 minutes, if Illinois got in transition, he was bringing the ball down the court, and he was looking to go straight to the post with if Fletcher Lawyer or Braden Smith were on him, and he had some success doing that. He was a big part of the comeback. Um, yeah, he's considering we don't know how Terrence Shannon Jr.'s situation is gonna be, I don't personally think he's coming back to play at all. I feel like Domask is your number 1 option. He's been playing like the number 1 option for Illinois. Um, I shout out to Southern Illinois. I can't believe you guys let him leave, but thank you. What up, Brendan? Illini need to start the rebound lab. Fuck, man. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the country. They just didn't show it tonight. Um, Paul, correct. Illinois never led. They did not lead. Jack, rip. Yes. Screenshot this. Rip. I hate it here. I fucking hate it here. Um, man, just such a brutal loss because it was such a roller coaster where you just felt so deflated at halftime and were like, "We're really getting embarrassed on national television, on the road, at a conference rival's, uh, home court," and then you make the comeback you did, and then you can't complete it. It's like the 2nd year in a row. It basically the exact same thing happened at Purdue last year, man. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like, why can't you just play 2 good halves against this school? Why can't you do that, man? Trevor's asking what were the second chance points for Purdue tonight. Well, like I said, they had 18 offensive rebounds. Second chance points. Did they put that in the team stats? They don't put that in the team stats on ESPN. I'm just looking at the box score on ESPN, and I'm not seeing it. Couldn't tell you, but they had 18 offensive rebounds, so that'll tell you everything you really need to see. They hit a lot of like I'm the first 6, 7 minutes of the game, they scored 6 or 9 points based off 3-pointers that they got off offensive rebounds. Uh, you can see why Purdue is the best team in or at least ranked the number 1 team in the country because their guards find a way to get to the basket and basically throw it up there, and if it doesn't go in, you got 7'4" Zach Edey right there, doesn't even need to jump to grab the ball. There were times where I saw Justin Harmon and Luke Goody on him, and it's just like it's actually kinda laugh out loud funny that how they were trying to somehow, some way hold him or, like, box him out or anything. There were multiple times he got so, like, the easiest offensive rebound that he could possibly get. And so I'm intrigued to see how Illinois adjusts the next time they play. They're gonna play later in the year. I think they play late February, early March before the Big Ten, tournament, but yeah, it was definitely a huge test for this team, and I don't really know what to take away from it other than they didn't get embarrassed. There's a lot to improve on. I don't think that they're gonna move too far back in the AP poll standings, maybe, like Trevor said, 10, 11, 12. Their second half performance definitely saved them from, falling below, or falling past 15, but, yeah, I mean, it's just in some ways, it's just an annoying loss in some ways. So, um, let's see. We are on we are on, I'm on Instagram too, and some people were watching, uh, but there's no comments. I just wanted to check that real quick. Um, yeah. So, let me know your thoughts in the chat. It's not a huge crowd tonight. It's late. It's Friday night. I totally get it. But I think at this point, I'm ready to move on to the next one. We can go through some of Brad Underwood's comments. I was on Jeremy Werner's, Twitter account. He's a great Twitter follow, for Illinois. If you follow Illinois basketball or Illinois athletics at all. Um, One guy I haven't mentioned was, Trey Kaufman-Renn. He put up uh, 23 points against Illinois tonight. Uh, Brad Underwood said, "He kicked our butt. Give that man a ton of credit. Have to make other players beat you outside of Edie. There's a lot of risk to that. You saw that tonight." And, yeah, I didn't know who he was, and, of course, that's what always happens when Illinois and Purdue play. I always feel like they have someone who puts up some random ass game that you've never heard of. Um, okay, let's see. Trevor asked, "What did I think about the flagrant on Purdue? Honestly thought it was interesting they reviewed." I did too, and at first I thought it was more of like a shot clock thing or something like that. I didn't even realize that they were reviewing for a flagrant. They took way too freaking long to review this as well. What's up, Robbie? Thanks for hanging out, man. Um, yeah. But as far as Kaufman Wren, he was impressive. Can't deny that. You give him all the credit, like Brad Underwood said. 23 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 6 of 7 from the free throw line. He had a couple nice moves down low. He goes well with Edie down there in the post. Um, let's see. Brad Underwood on what caused the slow start. Zach Edey guarding Ty Rogers. We expected it. Quote, "It's my fault. I didn't spend enough time on it in practice." Hey, credit to him for holding himself accountable. I've been holding myself accountable for the last 5 days of January. I have managed to not break my dry January, I guess, goal. And, yeah, so credit to me and Brad Underwood. But related to Ty Rogers, he had probably his worst game of the year. 2 points, 1 of 4 from the field, 2 turnovers, 2 rebounds, no assists in 13 minutes. And then, like, you could tell that he just was not effective out there. Maybe it's a bad matchup for him. The fact that he doesn't have, a jump shot, really, like, he won't even take a mid-range shot. The fact that he doesn't have one, in a game where you're going up against a bunch of guards who can shoot the three, it's not good. So, maybe this is a bad matchup. What made him effective against Northwestern is he was able to go down to the post a little bit. Maybe, him trying to guard Edey, I don't know. It's probably not the best idea. We'll see how they adjust again the next time they play. Apparently, Amani Hansberry had back spasms, according to Brad Underwood, and that's what Jeremy Werner reported as well. That would explain why he didn't play. If you wondered, I didn't really wonder. They only went 3 deep off the bench tonight. David played 6 minutes. DGL played 9. So, I don't know. Let's see. Another quote from Brad Underwood, "We got good players in this program. Will continue to be really good basketball. Will continue to be a really good basketball." And I agree. I mean, this game doesn't really do much. It doesn't make me feel like they're not a top 2 or top 3 team, in college basketball, or not in college, but in the Big Ten, I mean, sorry. Um, yeah, I feel like maybe they'll fall back a spot or 2. I mean, we can't forget what they did to Northwestern. Purdue also lost to Northwestern, so, I mean, uh, I was hoping if they were able to win this game, then maybe you could argue putting them up there in the top 5 for next week's poll, but it didn't happen, and here we are. So, what can I say? Um, let's see. Trevor says, "Hawkins makes me go crazy. He's a roller coaster." I let's see. He didn't have his best shooting night, that's for sure, right? He was 3 of 9 from the field, 11 points, but he had 6 assists, 4 rebounds, he had a block and a steal. I felt like he was good defensively. I did think he was good defensively. You know, Brad Underwood, like, really gave him so much credit about his defense in the postgame the other day after we went over Northwestern. I will say this, I was surprised that they didn't go with Danger and Hawkins on the floor at the same time, just for a few minutes to see how it would go. Maybe that would have helped the rebounding, I don't know. But that I was surprised we didn't see it at all. I don't he again, he played 6 minutes. I don't remember Hawkins being out there with Danger at all. So, um, but I understand what you mean by it, though. But I do think that he's played very well his last 5, 6, 7 games. Ever since he came back and played against Rutgers, I feel like he's had some really good games. He's scored in double figures, I believe, in every game since he came back against Rutgers. So, uh, obviously, we've seen him have even better games whenever Terrence Shannon Jr. is out there, but that's more of a credit to Terrence Shannon Jr. He's now has a bigger role with their best player out, right? So yeah, I can understand what you mean by him having a or being a roller coaster. Um, Purdue exposed the shit out of Rodgers. I don't think they really exposed. It's just they just took advantage of the fact that the guy doesn't shoot. I mean, hell, they would leave him open in the corner in the beginning of the second half. That was one of the reasons why, he he probably played too long in the second half. I think Underwood left him out there a little bit too long in the second half. Maybe Illinois was able to make the comeback sooner. Um, I don't know, but that's definitely his biggest flaw is the fact that he can't shoot, and whenever they go up against the teams like this that have elite shooting like Purdue does, it's going to be tough, I think, unless he's able to make an impact defensively, and he just really didn't tonight, in my opinion, and, so, like I said, I think overall this is probably his worst game of the year. We'll see how he responds against Michigan State, who also have really good shooting guards. So, yeah, big, bounce back game for Ty Rodgers coming up. I'm still a believer. I like I like the kind of player he is. He's kind of like that glue guy in some aspects to me. So, um, what else we got? Anyway, I don't really have too much else left. I will say this as well. Um, I think Purdue is for real. Uh, I've kind of thought that all season. I think they kind of cemented that for me today, tonight. Even though they almost blew the game, I still feel like that they are for real, that they're going to not only be the number 1 seed again this year, but go deep. They're kind of making me believe they're somewhat like Virginia the year after they lost to UMBC as the 1 seed to the 16th seed the year before. They definitely have the chip on their shoulder. They definitely have a lot to play for. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. They're just a very deep team. I think one thing that really, if you want to talk about what exposed Illinois tonight, is that they're just not nearly as deep as Purdue, in my opinion. Um, they had guys come off the bench and be productive. Mason Gillis came off the bench 20 minutes, 8 rebounds, 8 points, right? Uh, Morton came off the bench, hit a 3 for him, and, played 13 minutes. Uh, they had multiple guys played more than 10 minutes off the bench tonight. Illinois had 1 guy come off the bench and play more than 10 minutes tonight. So I think that's the thing that you can argue that exposed Illinois tonight is that they're just not nearly as deep. So in games like this, when Illinois goes on the road and has to play in a hostile environment, they're going to need a guy like Justin Harmon to put up a game like he did against Northwestern the other night, or they're gonna need Dane Danger to make the most of the minutes that he's getting, right? Gibbs Lawhorn, 9 minutes tonight, 4 fouls. Ain't gonna get it done. Even though I felt like that comeback in the first half, I thought he played pretty well. and defensively at least. I thought he was able to stay with Braden Smith a little bit there in that comeback. Maybe I'm way off on that, but again, it's a very small sample of what he was doing. I just felt like he was on the court during the comeback, so maybe he had something to do with it. Just trying to give him some credit. He did have a steal there that was part of the comeback, though. Um, so yeah, again, like they didn't have a lot off the bench tonight. Harmon only 5 points. Luke Goody is probably the star of this game if you don't wanna, give it to Marcus Domask and his 26. I mean, he had 16 points, 4 of 8 from 3. It's probably kind of disrespectful to wait 30 minutes into the show to mention Luke Goody, but he was a big part of the second half comeback, hitting, I think he hit at least 2 or 3 of those threes in the second half, so, I thought he played well defensively. He did as well as he could have with the guys he had to guard. Uh they're not anywhere near winning in this game if they don't have them. Again, Purdue had 4 guys in double figures, so did Illinois, but you can always pretty much guarantee that Damask, Hawkins, and Guerrier are gonna have double figure scoring. You don't really know what you're gonna get out of Luke Goody, game to game. So, to see him put up 16 tonight, hopefully is a sign of, good things to come because obviously this is a good shooting team, but if he gets on a roll, can hit 2, 3, 4 threes a game for Illinois, that's honestly it's an added bonus because no one was really talking about in these last 2 games because Harmon was picking up the lack of scoring against FDU and um, Northwestern, or being that fourth option, I guess. But if you get those types of contributions from Goody too, hopefully you get them from Goody and Harmon at the same time, right? I won't hold my breath, but you can get something from both those guys going forward, every game. It only makes it a little bit it makes it a little bit easier for guys like the Mass Hawkins and Gabriel. So, yeah. Anyway, we're about 32 and a half minutes in. Um, let's look at Illinois' schedule coming up. Like I said, they have Michigan State coming up next Thursday, and then they have Maryland that Sunday. So they're done for the rest of this week, and they'll have practice early next week. Then host Michigan State at home, and then host Maryland at home too. Then they travel to Michigan, then go to then host Rutgers, and then go to Northwestern towards the end of January. So these next handful of games are very winnable for sure. This game against Michigan State will be a huge test. I thought I thought that despite the loss, you are taking some sort of momentum into this game against Michigan State. You played a really good second half. I don't know. You don't play until next Thursday, so I who knows if this quote unquote momentum from the second half carries over. But I feel like you definitely feel a lot better going into that game than you did at halftime while you're at Purdue. So, they finished the game strong, and despite the loss, I feel like you get Michigan State at home coming off a tough loss like that. I feel pretty good about Illinois going into that game. Um, Michigan State's kind of been cold, right? They struggled to start the year, then they blew out Baylor, and they've been playing really well since then. So they're no joke. They're probably top 4 in the Big Ten, I would say, right behind Wisconsin at this point. So another test. Um, I would, looking forward to it. It sucks that we have to wait until Thursday to play another game because I'm already on to like the bounce back. I need to get this disgusting taste out of my mouth because when you really think about it, if Illinois was just able to rebound tonight, this game's a lot closer for the entire. So that's what's unfortunate. That is what it is. Can't change the outcome. Can't really blame anyone other than themselves, really, for this loss. So I guess on the bright side, at least I can't blame the refs because that only makes it feel worse. So, yeah, that's all I really have for tonight, guys. Uh, we'll see what happens with the TSJ situation, probably, hopefully in the next week, right? I don't know what's going on with that. We kind of talked about it last night a little bit in the preview for this game. Um, this panel still hasn't made the decision, or at least they haven't shared the decision with us yet. So I guess we'll find out. But the court date is on January 18th. I feel like we're probably not going to hear anything until after that. So I don't know. Anyone still holding any hope out that he might play against Michigan State or even Maryland? I wouldn't hold your breath if I were you. So, uh, Trevor asked, "Didn't Michigan State's guard get shot or something? Is he out?" I haven't even really looked. Haven't looked at that. I'll have to look that up. Let's just do it now while we're sitting here. Michigan State guard shot. I don't know what the yeah, Michigan State freshman point guard shot in the leg while in oh yeah, I totally forgot about this. This is like I felt like this feels like a decade ago that this came out. I would assume he was still out, that he is still out. This happened on December 23rd. I doubt he's going to play in this game. I definitely don't think he's been playing since. Was it Marcus Spears, right? He's a Illinois kid. Yeah, Joliet. Yeah, here. I can't believe I forgot about this. Life goes and you forget about a lot of things, guys, all right? Credit to me for admitting it. Um, Jeremy Fears injuries, covering from surgery, that was a week ago. Um, he's out of the hospital. No, that was on 24th. Who knows? Maybe, I don't know. He's all I'm saying is that he's recovering still, so maybe we'll get an update on it next week. We'll probably do a preview show for this, uh, come, next week, like next Wednesday. So, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, before, you guys get out of here if you're new here. Trent Schaefer, from Twitter, thank you, for chiming in. No one gives a fuck about what you have to say, especially with that, logo, but thanks for the views. I appreciate you. I really do. Salute. All right. All right. Um, anyway, y'all have a blessed night. Tough loss. Illinois loses 83-78 to Purdue. Um, can't wait for the rematch. That's what I'll leave with this. I can't wait for the rematch. I think it'll be a better game in Champaign, at least more competitive through the entire 40 minutes. That's what I hope. That is my hope. All right. So when we get there, we'll get there. But Michigan State is up next. We're on to Champaign against Michigan State. So next week. Anyway, see y'all next week on here or in the chat on CHGO Cubs. I appreciate all the support. Hit that like, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. Link is in the description on YouTube. And I will see you all next week. ILL.